Hi everyone, I'm Sheila and this is my Airedale Raja, and this is going to be my eyebrows only hand stripping video. A couple of my friends have requested on a little bit of advice or tips on how I get my Airedale eyebrows done, so I figured I'd help you a little bit with this video. I hope that helps you with your trimming. The tools that I normally find myself using are the very detailed metals. It looks like that. It has very little tips, or you can also use the skipper stripper, and I use both ends of it when I'm doing the eyebrows. And sometimes on the top of the skull here, I end up using my Mars M320 stripping knife. And if you have one of those cuticle stones, I've seen some people use those as well. They're like pink in color. I don't have them because I always tend to break them. Yeah, so I tend to be a little heavy-handed, but I've heard of some people using them very successfully, so you can try. They're pretty cheap. And of course your fingers. I think the eyebrows on an Airedale are a very important feature when we think about the grooming of the entire dog's head. If you look at it, the eyebrows are really the midpoint of the entire skull and the muzzle. So from the occiput to his stop, from the stop to the tip of his nose, it should really be halfway point. The eyebrows are the halfway point. So how we decide to trim the eyebrows will help to determine the balance and proportion of the entire dog's head. And he's actually kind of taking a nap right now, so I don't really want to wake him up. But so when you are trimming your Airedale's eyes and the eyebrows area, you want to think about the size of your Airedale's eyes. Are they big? Are they round? Are they overly round? Are they the correct shape? Do they have a nice eyeliner color? Or if it's too light, if it's too dark? So how you decide to trim your eyebrows varies a lot on what you have on your dog. Now Raja has really good eyes. They're not too large. Raja! See, they're not too large. And the rim has a nice dark color, but it's not overly light. The shade of his eyes are also not too light, because that's not desirable. So when I'm trimming, I don't want it to be long, because when you have very long eyebrows on the Airedale, it's not really correct, because it starts looking like a schnauzer where it gets so long. You know, the Airedale's eyebrows are not schnauzer eyebrows, and they're not Scottish Terrier eyebrows. They have to just come off the eye and accentuate the level and not detract from it. So right now they're a little long, and so when I start trimming the eyebrows, I start from the outer corner of the eye right here and work my way forward to the front. So I'm going to only pull with my fingers very lightly, just the longest hairs. And same thing, you want to just lightly brush and comb your eyebrows forward to how you want them to lay. And I like them to be laying forward like this and not sticking up like this. Because when it's sticking up, it detracts from his entire plane on the head. So I like my eyebrows to be combed forward, and so when I trim it, I also trim the eyebrows facing forward and how I want it to lay. And I start at the outer corner of the eye using my fingers, only pulling very lightly the longest hairs, just like so. And then I slowly work myself forward. So you want to view the head from all different angles, not just from the side. You also want to check it from the front, and then eventually you want to check it from the top as well. So see, yeah. And checking it from all different sides will help you to ascertain how you want your eyebrows to be shaped. And basically it looks like a small little triangle from here down to the front and then off to the side. So it shouldn't be too long, because if it's too long and in proportion to the whole entire head, so every now and then you have to step back. You look when you concentrate on this one area, but then you also have to step back and look at it in entirety in proportion to the head and the muzzle. So if you have it too big and too long, your dog starts to look very coarse in the head, but then you don't want to do that. So you want it to look long and elegant and not too big, you know. So when I trim very, very lightly, just pulling the longest hairs when I'm rolling the eyebrows. I treat eyebrows just like beard and leg furnishings like gold. So I'm very, very careful when I'm trimming the eyebrows or rolling it for a show, for example. So when I'm trimming it, I just use my little fingers and just pull very lightly, just the long bits, starting from the back and the corner of the eye, and I work myself forward just like that. Just little by little, combing it, checking it, and then only pulling the long hairs, just with the very tip, just like so. Just like that, very sparingly, treating it like gold. And then shaping it, checking the eyebrows, and then pulling just the long bits. And you only need to remove a few hairs with each time. When you have a coat that's already been rolled and staged like this, you just have to check a couple of hairs each time when I'm pulling. I don't have to get too overzealous with trimming eyebrows. So I make sure that I follow the crease of that brow bone right above here, above the eye. That's my delineation. So I know that anything in the front here I can contribute to the eye, and then everything on the back of this brow bone is going to be his skull. So when I'm trimming, I am leaving these parts here really long, but then in the middle here, right in between the longer parts and the brow bone, I'm using this area of the hair just as my blending area. So that area is half long and half short, if that makes sense, because I want to blend from very short to very long, and I need eyebrows of the middle length to blend between that and that. So I think I'm pretty happy with where it looks right now for today. So that's where I'm going to stop, and then I can continue again next week. And what I like to do is find out, I want to start my line here because I think that's kind of in the way, and I've changed it to my detailer, and I just pull it out of the way and then just lightly pull. See, it's still a lot of hair. I'm just gonna lightly pull, very lightly pull. It needs to be a lot tighter here. It needs some blending as well. So my goal is I'm trying to remove the unibrow. A lot of this hair has to come off. Can you tell? Because right now I've done this. You can see this. It's a lot lower now, but then I have to remove this hair right on this side. So if you have a dog that has eyes that are too big, you can always groom your eyebrows to be a little bit longer, to create a little bit of a hood to cover your eye, so your eye looks a little smaller instead of big and round, because that's not desirable. I personally like it to fall in line with the rest of the skull. I like it to be almost flat down toward the head to create a more streamlined appearance. Instead of the eyebrows sticking upward like this, then it breaks the line between this plane of the head and the foreface, right? So what I like to do is I take very little off at a time, just maybe a few hairs at a time, stop, and then I check, and then I pull again. So that's what I do when I'm trying to determine how much to take off around the eye. I like to take right in front of the eye, take some of this coat out. But the Breeze Standard says we should have fill in front of the eye, but not too much that it looks cheeky. Because if you have coat that's too much over here, your dog looks cheeky, and that's actually also something we don't want. So we want it streamlined. So with time, Rami's gonna look even better, because right now I have not groomed him for so long. In 2 weeks, this is gonna come in a lot better. It will look tighter and not as full as now. See how it's like so, what's the word, like not as thick. It's just too fluffy. But once I start rolling his coat again, he will start looking a lot tighter. The coat will look a lot better. So right now I just want to create more distinction between the fall area and his eyebrow. So I will show you. So after I take care of the inside corner of the eye, I'm going to move to the outer corner of the eye. And for that, I'm going to be using my skipper stripper. And I'm going to go right to the tip of it and use my thumb tip. Instead of using it on the flat side, I'm using my thumb tip. Raja, you put down. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, lay down. Okay, good boy. Yeah. Let's see if I can film this for you. And then, so what I would do is comb the brow forward. Anything that's sticking out on this side, I'm going to pull it pretty tight. Just like so. And then same thing, just comb it forward again. And I will move my head forward to the front of the dog, and maybe even use just my fingers to pull the longest hairs that are sticking out from the profile, from the side of the dog. And if I have hair that's too long over here, I would pull it as well. But it's not that much to be done on him today. Now, of course, I check for symmetry as well. I want to make sure both eyebrows are equal in length and in amount of hair. I think this side still has a little bit, see this side, I've kind of blended it nicely between the eyebrows and the skull, whereas this side here is still a little bit full. So I'm just going to pull a little bit just to thin it out as I'm blending. And then I check again. Yeah, that's better. Just a little more, like right here. One hand, I'm videoing with one hand and then pulling with the other. It's not that easy. Okay, and then checking again. Raja! Raja! Hey! Yeah, she's my puppy. And check his expression. He's kind of sleepy right now. Yep, I'm pretty happy with how it's looking. So that will be all for my eyebrow trimming today. And then next week we repeat the same thing. Happy trimming!